Take one. Bada bing, bada boom. The Drive-In Podcast is back. Episode 56. This is Dr. O, and I'm joined by Nez and Ricky Flicks this week. Boys, Many Saints of Newark coming out. Our first ever episode, I think, without a review. How psyched are you boys to see Michael Gandolfini taking up his father's mantle? Nez.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait to check out this movie. I just finished The Sopranos about 2 weeks ago. So this is just amazing timing for me. Having just finished the series, now I get a prequel movie. Other people have been waiting for this for like 10 years, maybe more. I don't know. I can't remember when it ended, maybe more than 10 years. So the fact that I'm getting this, I feel very blessed, very spoiled. A little worried. Is this Michael Gandolfini's first acting role?
I believe so. Ricky
yeah.
Flex, is that true?
Yes.
So I'm a little worried about that, but if it's hereditary, if it comes in, if it's in his genes, then and he can be anything close to what James Gandolfini was, I think we'll be okay.
It's in the blood. It's in the blood. So I've seen the reviews so far. What I've read, if you are a Sopranos fan, The Many Saints of Newark is a 15 out of 10. It's that good. Just because it's like a pleasurable experience. So it pays homage to the series, but also stands alone. It's just a great gangster film. Flex, how pumped are you?
I'm incredibly pumped. I'm watching The Sopranos right now, leading up to it. I'm not going to finish it I believe this is my third or fourth time watching it now. I'm not going to finish it up until the release of the movie, but I just watched Untold Crime and Penalties. And that was pretty crazy. It had some correlation with The Sopranos. So it's a great documentary on Netflix. Highly recommend. But yes, I'm very pumped. And that one just had great correlation to it. Make me even more pumped.
Is that the Rico case one with Rudy Giuliani?
No, that's the one about the Danbury Trashers, the hockey team.
Okay.
I heard that's really good, actually. Yeah.
So good. It's so good. It's basically like the real life Tony Soprano. Like in the beginning of the documentary, they're giving background on like the mobster. I forget his name, but it's like Jimmy something. And he was saying they were showing an autograph of James Gandolfini, and it was signed, like personalized to the gangster, saying the real life Tony Soprano.
Wow.
And all the correlation, like he's in the waste management business. His son's name's AJ. Like it was just too perfect.
That's crazy.
Sounds like a must review, potential doc talk for the show.
Yeah, they own the hockey team in Danbury, right? That guy did, and he had his son play for the hockey team, even though he wasn't good enough to be playing.
It was no, but I don't want to spoil anything.
I thought that was the story. Okay,
it's close.
Sorry,
but I highly recommend. I don't want to spoil it, even though it's like a true story. You can look it up, because I knew that the team there was a team, but I didn't know any of the background to it, and it was so entertaining. Like I watched the Untold one about the Pacers Pistons fight, and that was awesome. But this one was better, and this one like didn't have nearly the star power.
So is this Untold? It's just a doc series that Netflix has going?
Yeah, it's just a documentary series that they're doing. They did that one, they did this one, and they've done a couple others, I think, but those are the only two I've seen.
Gotcha.
But the hints at The Sopranos got me even more juiced up for the movie Many Saints of Newark coming up. So very excited.
What a lead in.
Let's get to The Sopranos.
Let's get to The Sopranos. Let's get to top billing. Let's get to this Many Saints of Newark preview. Okay. Many Saints of Newark preview. Sopranos top billing. What we're gonna do here, we're gonna kind of go through our own little preview in terms of like questions we have, in terms of what we want to see and what our expectations for the movie. I quickly want to run through the list of characters from The Sopranos that are returning, confirmed, that are cast, okay, with very notable names, might I add. So I want to go through these names, and then I want to like pose a question to Nez and Ricky Flex. Which one are you most looking forward to seeing, right? Which one has you most, you're craving at the bits, right, to see this new prequel? So we have Corrado Soprano, a.k.a. Junior Soprano, played by Corey Stoll. You have Liv Soprano, right, the infamous mother of Tony Soprano, played by Vera Farmiga. You have Johnny Boy Soprano, played by John Bernthal. You have Dicky Moltisanti, played by Alessandro Nivolo. You have Paulie Gualtieri, Paulie Walnuts, played by Billy Magnuson. You have Silvio Dante, played by John Magaro. You have Jackie Aprile. You have Big Pussy. You have Janice Soprano. You have Michael Gandolfini playing Tony Soprano. Boys, what are we most looking forward to seeing? Nez, kick us off.
I think I'm going to go with Dickie Moltisanti, just because I don't think he was not actually in the series, but people talked about him. He was like a legend to everybody that people would talk about. And now we're actually going to get to see the guy that they had talked about in it. And I'd say, can I do a close second?
Of course.
A Corrado Junior Soprano, a young one. I'm excited to see that too. Him in his prime.
I love Corrado. I love me some Junior Soprano. I love it.
I think one of the funniest characters in the show.
Best one-liners.
The best one-liners. You could ask Ricky Flicks yesterday. I was like so pumped that we were doing this review. It was PKO's birthday. So shout out PKO. Happy birthday. But I was just quoting Junior Soprano quote in the car the entire way, just because I was so pumped for this draft. And I think Corey Stoll, like, he has the bald look already. You only get a glimpse of him in the trailer, but I'm so psyched to see him. I don't want to give away like where he ranks in my like Sopranos character, so we're gonna get to the draft. But I agree, Nez, also with your take on Dickie Moltisanti. First of all, we have like almost a no-name, like an actor I'm not familiar with personally. I'm not sure what he's been in. I know Ricky Flicks will probably enlighten us, but Dickie Moltisanti, legend. Christopher tries to live up to who he is. We don't know as much about him, so I think it's genius that he is the lead for this movie, right? Because you're going to get a bunch of nostalgia. If you're going to make Tony the lead, we already know everything about Tony for the most part, right? We know he didn't have the makings of a varsity athlete, but we got to hear more about Dickie Moltisanti. Ricky Flicks. Who is Alessandro Nivolo? Do you know?
He's not like a well-known actor. He has been in like some big films, such as Face Off, Nick Cage, John Travolta, 97 movie.
Is that old?
Well, I don't know how old he is, to be honest, but like, he's in that. He was in American Hustle in 2013 with Christian Bale, and that star-studded cast, Bradley Cooper, we talked about earlier. But yeah, not very well known, but he will be the lead in this movie. Like Many Saints, Moltisanti translate to Many Saints. He will be the lead in this movie. And like we talked about here, Dickie Moltisanti, he was talked about a lot through the 6-7 seasons of The Sopranos. Dealt through similar issues as Christopher, not necessarily the same exact, but very, very similar. So we're going to see some of those during the New York riots in 1967. So very excited to see how they're going to portray that time for the Italian Americans here, and specifically Dickie Moltisanti.
Flex, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Did you guys leave me?
We lost you for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I would say around 10.
That's so unfortunate.
Maybe 10.
Wait, can you just hit the rewind, Ricky Flicks, and say everything you just said for the past 10 seconds?
God. I went on a little rant. What did I say?
Wait, we couldn't even see you going on the rant. Your face just froze on the screen.
That's so unfortunate. I feel like okay. Well, I guess I was just saying like Many Saints in Newark. It's Many Saints, Moltisanti. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I talked about how the actor was in Face Off.
Yep. No, we got that part. It was only the last 10 seconds. Now it's like the last 30 seconds.
1967 Newark riots.
Nope, we missed that part. Go ahead.
Newark riots, Italian Americans, the New York riot, Newark. I can't say that. Newark riots. Man, I'm in a flux here before a draft. This isn't fair. Yeah, I think you guys are messing with me. You definitely heard.
No, you completely froze, and it was just
the YouTube will show it.
Looking at each other.
YouTube will show it.
Whatever. Like I guess I also said like Christopher. Like we all knew what he went through as in the show. His father, Dickie, went through similar things. Did you hear that part? No. Whatever. He went through similar things. And it'd just be interesting to see how they portray him on the show here, especially with Ray Liotta, Hollywood Dick, Moltisanti. Like, we'll see how it goes and everything going on. I'm just flustered now this morning.
Great points, Flex. Yes.
Yeah, great points. All right, I'm jumping back in. I'm jumping back in. Who I'm most excited to see is a Paulie Walnuts, Billy Magnuson, Game Night, unbelievable comic relief in that comedy. I like Billy, and he's also in The Big Short as one of the mortgage brokers talking about strippers. I can't wait to see him as Paulie Walnuts. he might steal the show with his comic relief, similar to Paulie Walnuts did in The Sopranos. That's who I'm looking forward to seeing.
I'm kind of. It was sorry, Ness.
No, that's a good one. I like that because he was a lot older than Tony Soprano, but Tony Soprano, I guess, surpassed him in the ranks. And Paulie Walnuts used to run around with Tony's dad, so it's gonna be interesting to watch that go down.
Big time. And I can't wait to see the interaction between him and Silvio. Did they have that relationship already? Right. Maybe we're going to see them like form that like type bond that they have eventually in The Sopranos. And Billy Magnuson, that's kind of I see the casting, right? Because Paulie Gualtieri in the show is a very like eccentric person, very distinct personality. And then we have Billy Magnuson. He's been like in Aladdin in a very eccentric role. Game Night, right. He's the funny guy. He's in Boardwalk Empire. This seems like he just doesn't look like Paulie Walnuts to me. So it's going to kind of throws me off. Maybe they're going to darken his hair a little bit, maybe give him a little bit of the wings, a little bit of gray in the wings, just a little tiny bit. You got to give him some wings. Bit. You got to give him some wings. But and then John Magaro, he was in Cow, I believe. That was an A20. Was it A24? Cow? Flex, do you know that one? I believe
so.
Yeah, so his career's on the up and up. John Bernthal just seems like this is like, of course, John Bernthal is in this movie with the slick back hair. It's perfect. And I can't wait to see Johnny Boy, because I didn't like how Johnny Boy was like the actor from the Sopranos series. Whenever they did flashbacks, they changed him a couple times too. It just didn't seem like they were committed to one person playing him. So I don't know. Personally, I agree with Nez, Corey Stoll, and then Alessandro Nivola as Dickie Moltisanti.
I also just want to jump in here, like John Magaro, also in The Big Short, one of the young guys.
Right.
But I think one of the parts, obviously, Gandolfini, a lot of people are going to be looking out for that, seeing how he does as young Tony. But I think one of the things that might not make or break this movie, but to cement it as being very good, will be Livia Soprano. As in the show, she was so sentimental, so important, so vital in the first two seasons with her relationships with Junior, with Tony, with Carmela. And here you have Vera Farmiga, like phenomenal actress. You had to have someone very, very good actress play Livia. And I think they absolutely hit the nail on the head here. I'm just calling my shot. She might just do amazing in this role, and I hope she does.
Juicy character for sure. Very juicy character, especially with the rap. Yeah. And like, it's amazing. It's going to be interesting to see, because Tony always said that Olivia Soprano had a great relationship, like had a bad relationship with Johnny Boy, like when he was growing up. That's what Tony always said. But Olivia, looking back after Johnny Boy passed away, she looked back and said that like she loved Johnny Boy, and that
he
like,
was a saint.
He was a saint, right? Exactly. So I can't wait to see like the kind of like, because like obviously people are gonna like watch this prequel, then watch the show, and they're gonna see like the evolution of this character. Was she always cold-hearted? Did something happen in her life that turned her into an absolute bitch? Like, what happened in her life that kind of made her switch to that level? So I'm pumped to see that interaction. And then how much time do you think we're going to get with Tony Soprano in this movie? Do you think it's going to be substantial? Maybe a secondary character to Dickie Moltisanti? What are your guys' thoughts?
I think we see him rob the poker game, right? They have to show that. They have to show him rob the poker game. If they don't show that, I don't even know. Forget about it.
Probably a lot more successful than Jackie Jr.
Oh my God. All right, so The Sopranos is a show that spends about 50% of its time either in funeral homes or hospitals. How many funerals do we get during Many Saints of Newark?
We got to set an over/under.
2.5.
2.5.
I think 2.5 is a nice
1.5
one. Yeah.
Okay, 2.5.
So let's think about are we going to see Johnny Boy die? Right?
No, he can't. He died when Tony was in 1986.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well, I don't know how far we're going to.
He died later. Forward. He didn't die when Tony was that young.
Okay. I'm gonna go with 2. There's gonna be 2 funerals in this movie. 2 funerals. Yes, but that's a great point, Ness.
I mean, the show is constantly there's constantly funerals. Yeah, I don't know. Funerals and hospital rooms, they spend so much time.
Any therapy sessions?
And therapy, if you combine the funerals, the hospital rooms, the therapy sessions,
Mhm.
and bada bing. I
Bada
mean,
bing.
that's 75% of the show right there.
It's
Artie
Satriale's
Bucco's restaurant, Vesuvio's.
Vesuvio. Whenever there's a dinner,
Vesuvio. Oh, there is a lot of Vesuvio. Yeah, it's true.
I don't think I do. How much do I look like Artie Bucco today, boys?
I can see your hair, so not much. If anybody's Artie Bucco today, it might be Ricky.
Ricky Flicks, Artie Bucco.
You're
Take
the
that
Artie
back right
Bucco,
now.
Artie Bucco of the day. Why do you
Take
guys
that
not
back.
hate him so much?
I hate.
finish the series.
He's. I think he's definitely a low tier. He's definitely a low tier character.
He's like he ended up being a lot weird. I liked him a lot more in the early seasons. In the other couple, like the whole stuff with like Adrian. Oh my god, that was
Terrible.
so
Season 3.
Dude,
That
him
was
get
so
like
weird.
the lowest point for Artie Bucco was when he got his butt kicked in the apartment, and then he got his earring ripped out of his head. Like that was the low point. And that's where I decided I can't be an Artie Bucco guy. I can't stand by his side after that one. Cannot. And then after he gets absolutely dismissed by the host, was Adriana the host? Like,
it was a different hostess that he
Different
got
hostess.
dismissed by.
Okay, yeah.
And then Christopher picked her up or something, right? Was it who someone did?
It was a different guy. It was another guy in the mob lower on the thing.
Gotcha. No, Nez has the fresh memory right now.
Yeah. I'm fresh off. So what else is something that you think that we'll see that we might, that they've kind of hinted at in Sopranos?
I'm also curious if there's gonna be any time jump here. I know there's gonna start off as like Tony's gonna be a young kid at some point. I saw someone was cast as a young Tony Soprano, so I don't know like if it's gonna talk about like the evolution of Junior and Johnny Boy, because Junior is always an interesting figure to me because he comes off as such a clown in the show. And like, which is fine. A lot of times he's comic relief. And then a lot of times it's like, okay, he's named the boss, but it's only because Tony knows he's going to be taken down. Right. So I wonder if like he ever had an assertive spot in this family, or if he actually, was he always just the right-hand man to Johnny Boy?
That's a great point. And it's like, was he just old in the TV show? Was he just getting older? So like there's older people in general just lose their touch. And when they were younger, does he have that alpha male mentality, similar to a Corey Stoll in House of Cards when he was in the Pennsylvania senator, that alpha male mentality. And obviously we all know what happens with the big KS there, but I'm interested to see that. But you mentioned clowns. What I'm interested in seeing, 67, I'm not sure when exactly. I think what I'm about to say is a little beforehand, but maybe since you said they casted a young Tony Soprano, do we see Junior and Tony's dad get arrested at the carnival? Do we see that?
We got that flashback in the show.
Do we see another flashback of that, but a different take on it, or just the same thing? I don't know. You mentioned they casted a younger Tony. That's something I would like to see. And maybe see Michael B. Jordan again. People forget.
He was in what?
He made a cameo. He made a cameo in a flashback scene of The Sopranos.
In that flashback scene.
In that flashback scene, what is he doing?
He's one of the 3 kids telling young Tony to pick up the trash he threw on the ground.
No way. I had no idea. That's crazy. The more you know. I have something for you. Somebody that I'm interested in seeing a new portrayal of is Silvio Dante, just because I feel like it's really hard to copy what Steve Van Zandt did with like the face, the way he just looked like that, the way he just mean mugging all the time. But
and he can't do any Godfather Al Pacino impressions.
So they're really, I hope they really nail it. And then I guess you guys are going to know this, but somebody dropped this knowledge on me the other day that I had no idea, that Steve Van Zandt was Bruce Springsteen's bassist.
Yeah, E Street Band.
I had no idea. That's insane. And he played Silvio Dante on The Sopranos. It's so random.
And that's the big thing about Silvio. He might get drafted like in our top billing of like favorite characters. He's definitely one of a fan favorite, but it's just so obvious. Like now that I think about it, because I didn't know that until about a month ago. He like hams it up so much when he's performing. Like first, like just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. And like he just always has that face in like your tone. Like he always like plays it up so much that it's almost like, I kind of see that he's not a natural actor. you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of guys in the show. Like Paulie Walnuts has the most insane backstory, right? Tony Siriaco, he was a bouncer at a New York nightclub. He was a wise guy back in the day. He used to I heard the story that he was Jimi Hendrix used to go to his bar and he would give Jimi Hendrix wedgies, and he like literally gave him wedgies. He would go to other bars, and he went to prison because he would steal from the bars, and he would basically jack them. Like he was just like stealing like a substantial like amounts of money. He was a true like wise guy. And then he had an appearance in Goodfellas, right? Like so many of these actors did in The Sopranos. Yes. And so that like kickstarted his acting career, but he was a true wise guy, turned into playing a wise guy. So he's not that much different than he is in real life. You know, which is nuts.
And he was a Marine in real life too, right? Or
I believe
like he was a Marine in both, in real life and in the show.
And he was on the cover of it was I forgot what the name of it was, but it basically was Playboy for women. He was on the cover of one of those magazines.
Yes.
He's lit. He is the most interesting man in the world. Yes. He's got to be. That's nuts. He's got to be still alive. I haven't heard that he's dead or anything. I could be wrong, but I haven't heard anything like that. So hopefully not. So any last thoughts before we get to our draft, boys? I know we have so much Sopranos ahead of us.
One last thing for me is, yes, we all know David Chase, the showrunner of The Sopranos. Yes, he did write this. But what we haven't talked about is the director, Alan Taylor. Alan Taylor, he directed, I believe, 9 episodes of The Sopranos. He did, I think, like 5 or 6, maybe 7 Game of Thrones episodes. So he's done a lot of work with HBO, and he also did work with Deadwood, which was David Chase's show before The Sopranos, and that was critically acclaimed. So basically, you're going to get the cinematography, the feel of The Sopranos in this for sure. You saw that in the trailer, and if you had any doubt, just look at the director behind the actual showrunner, the writer of this film, David Chase. So no worries from me there. And when you say that, Dr. O, when you said it at the start of this, people that love the show are going to love this. I wholeheartedly agree with that, not just because of David Chase's links with this, obviously, but also with the directing choice.
Right, man. Let's just get to the draft, boys. Let's get to the draft. Let's do it. Ricky Flex, spin that wheel. See who's going first, second, and third.
Let me share my screen since I forgot last time or 2 times ago.
I don't think we're gonna be able to top the last one.
It's Doctor.
3. I want the third pick of this draft. Oh, and it's important to note we're doing best favorite character, least favorite character, least favorite character. We're doing, remind me, Ricky Flex. Are we doing best death? Then we're doing best storyline, and then best Tony moment.
Yeah,
was that right with those 5?
Yes.
Nez, we're good with those 5.
Yeah, it's fine.
And Nez, you got the pick. You said you want 2.
Yep.
Okay, that means I have the first pick.
Okay.
All right. So just to recap: best character, worst character, best death, best storyline from the show, and best Tony Soprano, because we're not picking Tony as best character.
Yes, Tony is not on the board for best character.
Got it.
Because it's too obvious he's electric.
Of course. Who doesn't love Tony Soprano? All right. So I will go first then. I think this is a deep draft, especially with 3 people. So I'm just going to go with someone I want on my board. My favorite character other than Tony Soprano on the show. And we were just talking about him, and it's Paulie Walnuts. He steals the show. He steals every scene. And we talked, I even said Junior Soprano has the best one-liners. I don't know. Paulie Walnuts, like he has some incredible banter in this show. And we just went over his story. And not only that, he's also just very violent. Like Junior might have the better one-liners, maybe. But also Paulie's just like such a great character. Like you think of the Woods, like either the Woods with the Russian or Czechoslovakian, whatever, or the Woods with Mikey Jr.'s number 2. So I'm going to go Paulie Walnuts, the wingtips man himself, as the first pick.
had to be, I guess. Like, I think he is like the best supporting character of the show in a lot of people's eyes. Maybe not mine, but like I think it's deep in almost every category here. I think it's deep in almost every category. So you almost couldn't go wrong with the first pick unless you picked a subpar character for your your supporting character, right? So great pick. I think I'm the minority when I say Judah Soprano had better one-liners, but Paulie Walnuts is just as funny.
Nez, what are you laughing at over there?
That was my. I was trying to do Paulie's little, like his little.
Oh.
He also killed that lady, the old lady.
Oh my
cold
God.
blood. Just so crazy.
Was anyone gonna draft that for best death?
Oh no.
That was so messed up, dude. That was Paulie.
He was trying to rob her.
Paulie was absolutely going off the deep end in the last like 2 seasons of this show, whether he was like sort of going behind Tony's back at times, and then you have there's moments where he's obviously, it starts off very early on where he has this fear of becoming sick and becoming ill. He has very much a fear of like dying. At many points. It's through like illness. It's not by like getting shot, or it's like not by being a wise guy. He's nervous of just like going to a hospital.
Well, yeah, think about it like this, like when Christopher was shot by the 2 guys in the Logistics stockbroker, like the 2 people that wanted to come up, I think season 2. And Christopher tells Paulie and Tony like 3 o'clock. And Paulie's just going crazy. He can't sleep. Yeah. And every time it's 3 o'clock, he goes crazy. And then he tells Christopher, "You weren't in hell, you're in purgatory."
And another thing, the other day, so ever since I finished The Sopranos, I've been watching their YouTube clips. I just watch them like crazy now. Whenever I have a chance, I've just been watching Sopranos clips. It's just, I can't get enough. And the other day, it was late. I was trying to go to bed, and I was watching some YouTube clips. And I don't know why I thought this was a good idea, but I watched the clip of him when he goes into the club by himself, and the Virgin Mary just pops up out of nowhere and then disappears.
How'd you come across that?
It was like the next clip. I was like, okay, sure. And then I watched it, and then I was like, I can't go to sleep now. That was really creepy. It's actually, I actually didn't get scared, but I was reading all the comments, and everybody said that they got scared when they first saw it. Me and my roommate just started cracking up like, oh my God, of course this would happen to Paulie. One of the weirder scenes of the show.
Agreed.
And I don't want to we talked so much Paulie Walnuts before the draft, and now we're talking a lot now. But just one last thing here is that we talked previous episodes, like with Gandolfini, Michael Gandolfini playing young Tony, how he looks like he has the mannerisms down, right? And we're going to be looking for those mannerisms with characters and how they act and sound. But I think particularly with Paulie Walnuts, like for example, like when he goes with the 3 o'clock scene, or the 3 o'clock situation there, he goes to the priest and he goes, "You know how much money I've donated to you?" Like trying to say it's like the religion's fault. He's like, "No more money, I'm not donating anything else." Those are the type of things I want to see in this show, and see how correlated the show is going to be, and like how the people act, really characters act with them.
Just one more. When it goes to the medium and they're talking, and he's talking to the guys, talking to the spirits of the people that he killed, that he throws the chair at the ghost.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving forward. That's
Paulie Walnuts is also just an OG gangster, and he refuses to reform to the new ways, and that leads to a rivalry with Christopher, and that leads to even more funnier moments. Great first overall pick from Ricky Flicks to Paulie Walnuts. Neds, now your first overall.
I'm going with, I don't know how long this is going to last, and I think I need to take it. I'm going with the best death, and I'm going with Phil Leotardo's death.
You animal. Jeez.
That is the most satisfying death for a character that you do not like that I've ever seen in my entire I don't know, actually, because you know what? Ramsey Bolton, Joffrey, those are pretty satisfying, but Phil Leotardo, the freaking tire man in front of the family. Oh my God. And then the guy in the big puffy coat, he's like, oh, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but there's one this guy. He's in Sopranos for 2 seconds, and it's just him reacting to Phil Leotardo's death, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. But that's my first round pick. Phil Leotardo, best death in the show.
That was so satisfying to see, like that, because like Phil Leotardo became such a menacing figure when he was first introduced in the show. He was like just Johnny Sack's like just right hand man. He wasn't an imposing figure at that time. But then the last 2 seasons, they really built him up, and like he's an all time actor in terms of like good gangster movies, and he really showed up. And I really think that he was a force. Maybe I would say Tony's best villain. I think that really matched up to him. I know Johnny Sack was pretty good, but Leotardo in the last season, he was an electric factory in my opinion.
I could think of a couple people that could compare. I think there's some good villains in this show.
Mm-hmm. And
he did 20 years. I don't know if you guys ever heard him mention that, but he did 20 years in the can.
20 years in the can.
But
he says it every episode.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
20 years in the can.
But
see, I haven't seen this show in so long.
With Phil Leotardo, I think the big thing that got him like into the show, and I don't want to take any picks, tease any picks, but with Vito, like his brother-in-law, obviously that kind of like you got to see Phil Leotardo really go crazy for the first time with that storyline, and then you hit really from there. He just took off to get to the top post Johnny Sack, and then really be head to head with Tony, and to get to that satisfying death that we Soprano fans love.
Right.
Good pick.
Okay. So now it's on to me. I'm going to go a third category here. So 3 picks, 3 different categories. I'm going to go with worst character. This one is like one of the deeper ones, which is shocking that there's worst characters for one of the best shows ever made. But I'm going to go with Olivia Soprano as a first round worst character. She is unbearable, boys. Absolutely unbearable. I know we're going to talk about potential storylines, her versus Tony. I'm rewatching the show again because I want to like refresh myself for this draft. I just finished season 1 again. Olivia Soprano in the last episode. So first of all, her and Corrado literally put a hit on Tony, right? And she only puts a hit on Tony because she can't stand him. Corrado somewhat has a point, but then the part where last episode of the season, she has a quote unquote stroke, which she probably doesn't actually have. And right. Tony just goes off in her face. It is so satisfying.
Tony moment.
It's so satisfying in the moment, but then she starts smiling because she's like, oh yeah, like I got you riled up. Yep, I did try and put a hit on you, even though you're my son. And Tony just goes ballistic. So like she is unbearable. I feel like every time she speaks, I want to punch the wall. But this is one of the deeper categories, maybe the deepest, which is so weird. But Olivia Soprano, first rounder for me.
I wish the Lord would take me now. Oh, she has some great quotes. Oh, poor you.
Yeah. She runs over her freaking friend.
Yes. But yeah, she always playing the victim. She knows what she's doing. Like she is
fakes Alzheimer's.
Fakes it. But the one scene that gets me every time with Olivia that makes me, even though like I hate her, she was my number 1 in this category, so I love the pick here. But the one thing I remember from Olivia, besides like the quotes, is when they go to that wedding, when it's the federal indictments are like looming, and goes up to like the guy, Tony's friend, the dad, the guys who's the wife is dad, and says like, "You're still seeing other women," like right at his daughter's wedding, right in front of Tony and Carmela. Like that's just the type of person she is. She knows what she's doing. She knows the trouble she's getting in, and getting other people in. And that's why you hate her so much. So great pick.
Yeah. And the real actress did die before season 3 was filmed. And I read on a Screen Rant blog that I don't know how true this is, but they wanted to have Olivia testify against Tony in the 3rd season.
Oh, wow.
That would have been amazing. And what if like the Alzheimer was kicking in, if that was actually true or not? Would she stick it to Tony? Would she actually become a good mother for once in the show? Probably not. Like it would have been amazing if she just went against him in trial. Show
could have completely changed.
Absolutely. It would have.
And another thing I was reading about was David Chase based this character off his own mother.
Yeah.
What?
How like wild is that? Like, imagine she watched this. I don't know. Like, that must have been depressing for her to watch.
Jeez. Did she put a hit out on him, or maybe it wasn't that dramatic?
Oh,
My goodness.
Good pick.
So next pick I want to do, I'm going to go as a storyline. I think I'm going to go with a storyline, and I'm going to go season 2. I'm going to go Tony's bout with Richie Aprile as my storyline, because there's so much to unpack there, because Tony hates Richie so goddamn much. And then Richie is just a thorn in the side, like absolute jerk the entire time. And my favorite sub story within their feud is the jacket. The jacket makes me laugh every time I think about it. How like he gives him the jacket, and Tony hates him so much he gives away the jacket, refuses to wear it after Aprile keeps telling him to wear it. He's like, "Who gave you that jacket?" Like, Tony gave me this. It looked nice. And just like, then eventually ends, and like you think, Richie Aprile ends up being engaged to Tony's sister. And so it's like, imagine if they were family and they had to deal with one another. And then I'm not going to tease any picks, but he comes to an unexpected ends that Tony really isn't responsible for whatsoever. It was kind of shocking. So that, I think Richie Aprile is an underrated villain, especially in the early parts of The Sopranos. I know we just talked about Phil Leotardo, but I do love the storyline of Tony versus Richie, because that wasn't really there in season 1, right?
Yeah. And his intro to, like, he was the start of season 2. And he just started the season and his introduction as a character with a bang by going into Beansy's Pizza Parlor and just slamming a pot of coffee on him.
Absolute psychopath.
Yeah, just psychotic behavior. And in season 2, you could say, I would say, that was when Tony's panic attacks, anxiety attacks were at its worst, and it's because of that rivalry of Richie Aprile and how much he was got
so
under his
annoying
skin.
to him. He's a thorn on the side.
So I do think that is a great storyline. Not my favorite or my number one, but it's definitely up there, and it is deserving of the second round.
Yeah, it's such an unusual category. It's not like, it's like you can't really find a bunch of lists on these storylines. A lot of times it's like you're just like trying to remember the show. I'm about to start season 2. I'm about to rewatch this storyline again, and I'm very excited to do that. I'm going to start that right after we finish this pod. Nez, I think you had a thought and I interrupted you.
I think it's cool. I thought he was a great addition to the show in terms of being a good villain. I feel like every season kind of has like that main villain that Tony's going against. Like, I think the first one it's Junior, and the second one, it's Richie. After that it's what's his name, Ralph Cifaretto. After that, I wouldn't say it's directly Jackie Jr., but I think he was the villain of one of the seasons. And then obviously Phil Leotardo, Johnny Sack. So like each time there was like a good antagonist, but I don't know, I think Richie might have been one of the best ones because he was supposed to be on his side. I don't know, it was pretty interesting.
And it almost seemed like Richie was never supposed to reach that point. Like, he was never supposed to be like a potential boss or a captain. Like, he wasn't ever supposed to reach these heights, but he kind of just wills himself to do it. And then like, he's a character that the audience like has such a disdain for, but I would never put him on like a worst character category because I think the acting job was actually really good. Right. Olivia Soprano. Yes. The acting. Good.
I was about to say.
Yeah. So like Olivia Soprano, like the acting's not bad, but I just can't listen to her whine and do these things. Richie Aprile, I can do this because I know it's going to like set a fire to Tony, or it's going to make Tony want to go in a shell. Like, it's going to cause a reaction to Tony. And that's the whole show,
Yeah, I hear you.
So Nez, we're on to your second pick.
Well, just piggybacking off of that, I'm going with my number 1 ranked worst character in the show, my most hated character in the entire show, and that's Janice Soprano. I despise this character more than anybody in the entire show. I think she is a leech. I think she uses people. She's a sociopath in her own way, and I honestly just cannot stand her. And by the end of it, she's just like Livia at the end. It was interesting. I don't know if you guys remember like her last scene, but she's basically saying like nobody ever thanks me for anything. Nobody cares about me, and she's miserable, just like her mother. But Yeah, my absolute least favorite character in the show. Cannot stand her. And I was a little upset that she survived the show.
Yeah, she's just the ultimate schemer. She's the ultimate schemer. All she does is she just wants to scheme around and get Tony's money, or just somehow, like with the, I think perfect example, the records, the Livia's old records, and Tony gives them to his Russian girlfriend's sister, and then she steals her prosthetic leg just for the records.
Yeah,
that's so messed up.
Yeah.
Messed up. She's just a sociopath. She's like the same thing as Livia, just younger. And I feel bad because she ends up marrying one of the nicest characters, if not the nicest character in the show, Bobby Bacala. Like, come on. Like, true. So sad. And just one more last thing here. This might just be picky. I freaking hate that Rolling Stones tattoo. Hate it.
Oh, it's so bad. So bad.
Janice, like, she's all in it for herself the entire time. She abandons the family, and then like the whole point of Sopranos, like, it's a theme on family, and it's like staying together, and she's the one that is the outsider, and when she's only with family, she's looking to get something out of it. And then speaking of, like, she always like annoys Tony, even when she's like unintentional, like when she's like having relationships with Ralph Cifaretto and Richie Aprile, like she's like almost trying to piss him off, and it's very annoying. But she ends up Bobby Bacala, and he honestly deserves so much better.
Yeah, so he does. He was he's a sweetheart.
Yes,
but yep, that's my. Can I talk? Oh, there's one more Janice boyfriend that was one of my favorite characters in the show. Have you heard the news? He has risen. The guy with the church guy with the ponytail that came to like Thanksgiving.
Oh yes! Oh my God! I can't believe it. Yes,
with
I do know what you're talking about. He goes to Sunday dinner. Oh my God!
Characters in the entire.
What a weirdo! But I can't believe that she had a relationship with that guy too. Tony's like, what a freak! It's just, what a freak! Good pull, Ricky Flex. Your second rounder.
Okay, so I'll pick worst character last since you both already picked it. So I'm going to go Tony Moment. Tony Moment. Can't pick any deaths in this, unfortunately. But then, so what I'm going to go with is when he's beating up Mikey Palmisi, and he grabs the stapler and staples his parking ticket on him and on his suit. And that's the time when Junior's like it's when Jackie Aprile, the boss, he's dying from cancer, and who's going to take over Jersey, and they're just trying, and Corrado and him, or just Tony, are just trying to, like, Tony just wants peace, and Corrado's like, don't come in here unless you're packing next time. And he just puts all his anger out on Mikey Palmisi, and he walks out of the restaurant and sees everybody surrounding Mikey, and he can't get up or anything. So that's going to be my Tony moment. It's going to be it. Second pick.
Also, one of the antagonists of the show, that guy.
I just watched his death in the season finale of season 1. I just watched it. It's nice. Great. That guy is like he just comes up, like the guy is just annoying to like listen to. I know, like, it's not just Tony who hates him; it's pretty much the entire like mafia community, right? That just can't stand this dude. His death is kind of satisfying too, when he's running, and then Silvio and Paulie Walnuts and Christopher track him down big time.
All right, and then I'm gonna go death. And when you say best death, I'm not saying I liked it. I'm just saying this one was just for me, most shocking. Did not see it coming the first time I saw it, and it relates to who it is. And I'm taking Christopher Moltisanti. Wow. I think that is the one that got me the most, and that's why I'm going to pick it first. That might be unique, but I just think that the way Tony does it to Christopher, a character who we saw his beginning to end. Like, we're not getting a prequel with Christopher Moltisanti. We saw the beginning and
Mhm.
the ultimate end of Christopher. We saw one of the few characters we saw the whole development of. And Tony, the one doing it and the way he does it, like Tony was seeing him as the future head of the family, and he's the one that does him in. So I think that one was the one that got me and hit me really hard. I'm going to go that one as my death.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think there's a lot of layers to that. Like you said, Tony sees him like a future head of the family, like a son. But he just became too much of a liability, and it's almost foreshadowed earlier on. I know he talks to Junior about Moltisanti, and Junior's like, you should just get rid of him, kill him, and Tony's like, no way, I can't do that. There's no way I'm gonna do that. But at the end of the day, Junior was right. He was too much of a liability, and he did have to take him out.
It's shocking. It was like at that moment, because it's kicked off the second half of season 6, I believe. It's like the first episode of the second half of the season. So honestly, I didn't see it coming. I thought Christopher was going to make it at least a little bit longer. I almost feel like I saw it coming. I think the audience kind of saw it coming, because it seemed like Tony and Christopher loved each other, but didn't like each other. So what I mean by that is like their family. Tony wants him to be like the next head of the family. He wants him to be like the boss someday. But at the same time, he resents so many of the decisions he makes with his life. A lot of times Christopher doesn't agree with the way Tony runs the business, but it's also shocking because like Christopher chooses Tony over the love of his life at one point in the show. And it ends up leading to the demise of the love of his life. So it's like interesting. Like, that's why I think like they like literally like they don't like each other, but they will stand for each other. That's why the death was so shocking at the time. And it was so violent, like how Tony did it. It's staring in Tony's eyes as he's like strangling him. It's messed up. Like it's hard to watch.
Yeah. And you knew I'm not saying I didn't think Christopher was going to live through the season. I did think he was going to die at some point. And the one time I did see it, where I first thought of it was when he was getting made, and you see the Black Raven or whatever, when he's getting made, he's going crazy in the rest of the episode. It's him like thinking about that. So I did think he was going to die just by the hand of Tony. Did not see that coming.
Wow. Great scene. Nez, we're on to your third pick.
Oh. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go with the best Tony moment. And I'm going to go with Tony getting arrested by the FBI. Every time Tony gets arrested in the show, I could pick. But every time he gets arrested like an absolute boss. He just like is like cursing out the feds, cursing out the police, and just like saying like, F you, I'll be out in a couple hours. Like, I don't know. So him getting arrested by the FBI, always entertaining. And he just acts like such a boss, like nothing matters. Like he's going to be okay, even if he is stressed.
Because he does know he's going to be okay. Like unless they get him on a Rico, he knows he's good to go. And that's what he always says. Like, if I don't get me on a Rico, whatever, don't get me on the Rico. And they're good to go. So I like that. And there's been a couple times he's been arrested, but he's going to get out scot-free.
Yeah. Like the only time he was like, I think the one time he was really worried was when him and Pussy did that hit on the kid that shot Christopher. And they had the eyewitness come in and say he saw Tony and not Pussy. And I think that was the one time he actually thought like, oh, I might be in trouble here. But they didn't even have to like go to the eyewitness and like rough him up themselves. The eyewitness found out it was Tony Soprano and then backed off him on his own. I think that was like the one time when he was actually scared. But I do like the pick. I didn't think of that, but that's good.
Some Tony Soprano just acting like a complete boss.
I just thought of a Tony moment that's easily my number one, and I'm mad I didn't pick it. I just thought of it. Not happy with myself.
All right, now it's on to my third pick. I'm going to go with character. I'm going with one that's more me going with my heart. There's like two characters I might be above it. I'm going with Junior Soprano, Corrado Soprano for best character. As said before, I find him to be the best comic relief alongside Paulie Walnuts. I do think he has the best one-liners. I did say before I was quoting them to Ricky Flicks all yesterday. take it easy. We're not making a Western here. Right. So it's just like those type of lines, old school gangster. Yeah, I just can't wait to see him in the Many Saints of Newark. I think I've said enough about Uncle Junior. Yeah, iconic hat. My favorite character.
First time I saw Junior, like watching The Sopranos and seeing Junior, I was like, oh, that looks like the Six Flags guy.
Yes. Yes, it does.
That's just my first thought when I saw it, but then fell in love with the character soon after. So forgot about him.
And it's like after he kills Tony, it's like I don't lose love for Uncle Junior because he actually is going through an illness, a sickness. Like I have a lot more trouble with like obviously Livia and how he treats Tony than I do with Junior. And Junior also, it's just hilarious how he's like always jealous of Tony too. At the same time, he's like literally 20, 30 years older than Tony. And then he's just like getting upset at him all the time. He wants to be the boss. And then he actually puts a hit on Tony's life, which is kind of shocking. And when he messes up, it's amazing. And because he goes to Olivia. I just watched this like episode a couple of days ago. He goes like, he does a nice stunt you pulled when you forgot your granddaughter's last name. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And then he's like, yeah, you went faking the Alzheimer's. And he's like, yeah, you don't remember. He's like, you don't remember your granddaughter's last name? Yep. And I played shortstop for the Mets and stuff like that. It's just hilarious one-liners. I think he might have improvised a couple of those. Great quotes.
You had to have.
On to the fourth round here. So I need a Tony moment and I need a death. I think I have two deaths that are just like killing me right now that I really want to do. I think I'm going to go with the more emotional death, in my opinion. Screw it. We're going Tony moment. We're going to do the nightcap scene where Tony's kicked out of the house by Carmela. It's maybe what people call like the best acting in the history of the show. Carmela tells Tony about Furio after she finds out about Tony's most recent case of infidelity. Tony goes to the boathouse, right? Starts blaring Dean Martin, making sure he actually possesses the boathouse from that guy from Rookie of the Year. Forgot what the guy's name is, but I just love, like, that was like the best Tony and Carmela moment. There's some points where I find Carmela a little bit annoying, but she's also a situation where it's like Richie Aprile. She's never in like that worst character category, but she does annoy me at times. And she is like a thorn in the side where it's like, yes, maybe I don't care as much about this, but this is like what The Sopranos is all about. It's all about family. This is when the family fell apart.
So. Yeah. And it's like, you do feel bad for Carmela on one hand, but on the other hand, it's like, I feel like she has to know, like, her family was affiliated with the mob. So you have to know at some point she knows what comes with it. So, and she reaps the benefits of it. I think my favorite Carmela scene is when she goes and she like intimidates the Georgetown lady to write the letter of recommendation with the pie.
Yeah.
She kind of like acts like a more polite Tony Soprano in that situation. I don't know, but yeah, that's off the rails. I like that scene too. That's a great, really intense dialogue scene where they really just lay it all out there.
Yeah, because like other times where like Carmela addresses the infidelity, Tony says like, get out of here. Like after he starts talking about it, then there's maybe one more line, then the conversation ends. This one's like a full out, like obviously violent outburst from both of them just going off. It ends up like this whole show has been about keeping the family together no matter what. It causes stress on Tony, right? Enough to the point where he's going to see a therapist about it. And this is where it literally all falls apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think with the show, it's like you have the mafia side and you have the family side, and then you also have the psychiatrist side. So obviously Melfi and Gandolfini, or Lorraine Bracco and Gandolfini, are carrying that. And then the crew, the Soprano, Tony Soprano and the crew are carrying the mafia side. But Carmela is really the soul behind the family side. And this is where it all fell apart. So I think it's a good pick.
And this is what people always say Sopranos is like adopting a lot of the things from Goodfellas. This is where Sopranos differentiates itself. Goodfellas, there was never a sense of Henry Hill actually really caring about his family ever, right? He doesn't even spend time with his family in Goodfellas. The Sopranos brought that element to it where it was a lot more personable, relatable, and gave you a look inside an actual life of a mobster, right? So Ricky, let's go on to Nez, your fourth pick.
All right. So what I've done best Tony moment. I'm gonna go with my best character here. I'm going with all right. So when I first started watching the show, my roommate told me Paulie Walnuts is gonna be your favorite character. That didn't end up being true. My favorite character is Silvio Dante. And let me tell you why. First of all, his facial expressions are absolutely top tier. His hair, top tier. His style, the way this dude dresses, absolutely top tier. Best in the show. He's got the best one. I don't know if you go back, watch the tape. He's got the best in the show. Anyways, the scene, oh my God, the scene where he's playing poker, I can really relate to that. Where he's playing and the guy's sweeping cheese off his feet. I love cheese. I stuff provolone in my socks every night. He is hilarious in his own right. And he's absolutely the most loyal character to Tony in the show. He respects the rules of being a gangster, being a mobster, more than anybody in the show, more than Tony, even because Tony breaks a lot of rules himself. And I don't think he breaks the rules. He's got, he's just a very smart, loyal, and good character who is I think one of the most respectable characters that there was.
I know when I first started watching Sopranos, I told Ricky Flicks I liked Silvio more than Paulie, and he was actually a little shocked with me.
Yeah, I same with me. Yeah, I think it goes back to what you were saying before, Doctor, where you were talking about how just the acting experience, you could really see how he didn't have any before The Sopranos, and like with the Paulie Walnuts, you can't. Like, I just think there's a clear like quality difference. And
I didn't see that. I thought that
the corny factor great for me with I see your face. I know, but I don't know. I just didn't appeal to me the same way as you guys, I guess. But no, I do love Sil, and I think people forget. Like you were just saying how about how he honestly might be more like traditional like gangster than Tony. People forget how cruel like Sil is. Like he kills Adriana. Like Bada Bing's basically like he runs that, and he was hitting girls. Yeah, like he was hitting girls. Like he was like keeping them in line, quote unquote. Like he's a cruel character. Like he's not necessarily the nicest guy. Like they pull me back in, like all the funny looks and everything.
He's the boss when Tony gets is in a coma. He's the boss.
Yeah, it just seems odd. I don't know, just the way he looks. I don't see him as a boss.
Everything fails.
Yeah.
Everything fails when he tries to do it as the boss.
I thought he did good as a boss.
Did he? I thought I remember him not doing well. Maybe I'm just misremembering. But
I thought he did well, but maybe it's just because it was my favorite character.
I know he's getting like fitted with by his wife, and like he's putting the suit on him. Yeah. He's like his shrug. He's like,
yeah.
But even then, he was like, "This is under bad circumstances. I wish I wasn't the boss right now."
Right. He's the right hand man, the consigliere. Right. That's Silvio Dante. I was going between him and Junior, but I had to go with my heart with Junior. A good pick. Fourth rounder for you, Ricky Flicks.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with storyline, and I know it was only 2 seasons, but it's got to be Tony versus his mom. I know you took Livia as a worst character, but just like trying to have your son whacked is messed up in itself. And that's like what started like the panic attack, the anxiety attacks. Yes, he had them when he was a kid, and also his dad did. So it's like hereditary or whatever, but he really like got him once Livia was getting older. And it's not a nursing home, it's a retirement community. So I'm going to go with that as my storyline. It's just so memorable and why Livia is so hated.
Great pick. And
that is a good pick. Good feud.
I was thinking of that feud. That was like, I think my number 2 behind like him and Richie Aprile. Yeah, like literally Olivia is like pure evil to Tony. And like, as the season goes on in the first one and into the second, like you puts a hit on him, the laughing scene, like as she like fakes a stroke, like it's very messed up. She like pretends to like misremember her granddaughter's name. It's like really messed up what she's doing. And she's absolutely diabolical. Great pick.
All right. And then my last pick, I got to go worst character. For worst character, I'm going with AJ. It's like people always say, oh, the worst time to like, people love having kids, right? But like, if you had to pick a time where it's like the worst, the worst age range to have a kid, like the teenage years, and that's what you get with AJ to the max. Like just the issues that you get as a teenager, AJ is that, but more so than any other kid in real life. Just a sensitivity factor, just being dumb to go along with that. Like he's just the dumbest kid alive. And obviously later on in the series, there's like serious things that happen mental health wise. But I'm going before that, like when you're thinking military school, you're stealing wine from school, the Catholic school. Just you stole your parents' car and crashed.
Throwing the stuff in the pool. Throwing the stuff in the pool, the trophy cases.
Just
that part.
The car catching on fire.
Oh this is just ridiculous. Anti AJ, bad character, one of the worst characters. That's my final pick.
Yeah, I think that was a no-brainer there.
Yeah,
actually, I'll save it for honorable mentions because there's another one that I think
there's some bad ones.
There's some other ones.
I was toying with one other one, like under the radar pick, but I decided to do something.
We'll bring it up
more general.
Like honorable mentions.
They like tried to make AJ interesting in every way possible, and it failed every single time. It just kept getting worse, and you thought like, oh, he'll get older, he'll get like you can tolerate him further. No, he got worse. He got worse. But he did have one of the most emotional moments with Tony in the show when he attempts suicide. Yeah, right? That is a very emotional moment.
Pre-suicide attempt. Hating.
Yeah, it's not like he was a great character like afterwards. It was just a very emotional moment, and Tony killed it in that scene too. So Nez, your fifth and final pick.
All right. So when you guys said storyline, I was thinking more like character arc. I guess I was thinking incorrectly. So that's kind of what I'm going for here. And even then, I think this might come off as a bit of a surprise to you guys. So I'm just going to go with Paulie Walnuts just making his way up the ladder. So at the beginning, Paulie, I don't think he's even a capo, or maybe he is, but he's obviously he's a made guy, but he's not like, running his own crew or anything. He's just got like his own kind of different things going on. By the end of the show, or at least like the last season of the show, he's like number 3 in Tony's crew. And then I think in the second to last or last episode, he gets his own crew, even though he almost doesn't want it. And then if you really think about it, this is really going to the end here. If Tony is dead at the end of the series, which we don't know definitively, then that would make Paulie the new boss of New Jersey. Like he would actually run New Jersey. So basically from the beginning of the show, he started out and he's just like, kind of this, just another guy in the mafia, but he's a made guy, but he's not like there. By the end of the show, potentially, and I think that Tony died. He's the boss and he's running New Jersey. So that's my say. That's why I think Paulie Walnuts does have one of the best character arcs or storylines. And I think it floats very under the radar because people don't realize that by the end of it, Paulie very well may be the boss of that family.
Interesting pick. I didn't think about that. In terms of like Tony, if he's dead, then Paulie's the guy. And Paulie kind of has like faces demons by the end of the last season. So so if they ever wanted to like have Tony Siriaco come back for his own series, who says no? Flex, any thoughts?
I love Paulie. He was the first overall pick of this draft. I didn't think about that either. But no, I like. Obviously the explanation was good. And I think the last season, like you really like obviously him quarreling with himself, like, do I want that leadership role and things like that? So no, I understand it.
Okay. So we're on to Mr. Irrelevant, and I need a death. I think the death is like the deepest category.
This might be this is like the steal of the draft, getting your death in the final pick here.
And I think there's 2 that I really want, 3 that are so iconic, 4 that are potentially could be picked, and a 5th that would just be like a fan favorite one. I think I'm gonna go with the one that hits the most emotionally, and I think I have to go Adriana's death. So Adriana, like her downfall, it's so sad because she's so innocent, and she is like, yes, she's a part of this world, but is she actually really involved? Not until she owns the bar. Tony gets a piece of it. Christopher, right, is in this world. He's abusive to her. The feds get to Adriana. She admits to Christopher because she's so loyal to him. This is what's happened, right? I'm wearing a wire. I'm doing this or that. Christopher then just abuses her, punches her in the face, and then tells her to run away. But then he ends up taking Tony's side. Eventually, Silvio does the business, takes care of Adriana, right? And she's crawling on the ground, eventually gets shot. It is a messed up situation, and I just feel bad for Adriana because she was so innocent. It went through so much, and she paid for staying with Christopher when she should have left him a while ago. Painful.
True.
Yeah, she
Very sad.
when she left. It was at Vesuvio's, the new Vesuvio's, when like Christopher freaks out, and then she goes lives with her mom, and then Christopher says like, I want to marry you, and she goes back. That was the time where you just got to say no. She doesn't. That was the start of her downfall.
Yeah, she stuck with him side by side, and then Christopher chooses Tony over Adriana after all Adriana did for her. So it's just heartbreaking because she really wasn't in this world. She was forced into this world, but chose not to leave. All right. That does it for our draft. Okay. I think we should go honorable mentions by category. We'll kind of whip through these. I think while we just went over deaths, let's just continue, right? I know that sounds really morbid, but the one I was debating on taking, and there's a couple, I'll only say one. I wanted to do Big Pussy's death so bad. Mm-hmm. At sea, the first time Tony's really killing someone from his crew, the inevitability, you're on the sea. Big Pussy in the back of his mind probably has an idea that this could happen, but everyone else is like in on it, right? They know what's about to go down. It's sad. Big Pussy and like if you look at Big Pussy's his arc, I gotta stop saying his name so much, but like the beginning of the season, the first season, he is kind of like assertive. Like he is one of the guys, like next to Paulie Walnuts. He's ahead of Paulie Walnuts, right? Like Tony really admires Big Pussy. Like they love him. Mm-hmm. So him to like resort to this and start to kind of get phased out of the picture and then die, I thought it was kind of heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought he was a great character prior to dying too. I enjoyed him.
And he was like the first major death of the show, like big death. And it was only
Mm-hmm.
season 2. Like it was, yeah, definitely sad. And obviously, I think jumpsuits, big theme of the show here. He rocked it the best.
He did.
Great.
The purple one.
Jumpsuit.
So wait, we're doing deaths right now?
Yeah. So Nez, do you have any deaths for honorable mentions?
I think what did you pick?
I picked Adriana.
And you picked Matt Bevilacqua?
I picked Christopher.
Oh, you picked Chris? Oh, nobody picked Matt. Oh, so Matt Bevilacqua. Wait. The guy that shot at Christopher that Tony killed with Big Pussy.
Yeah.
That's where Big Pussy doesn't do it, right? As Tony ends up doing it instead, right?
Tony, no, they both do it.
Yeah,
they both do it. They light him up with like 20 rounds each.
I was
trying
to
remember. You want like, can I get a drink? And Big Pussy gets him a Diet Coke, and Tony's like, you're sure you want a diet? And then Big Pussy's like, that's all we got left. And then Tony's like, well, that's gonna be the last thing you ever taste, diet and whatever.
Boom. They shot him so many times. Yeah. And then Richie April. I mean, that one was like, that shocked me.
Yeah,
that shocked me. I can't believe that she did that
at the hands of Janice. That was the most shocking moment. And then like calling Tony and like she needs Tony's help, and then Tony being the family man, right? Like, I'll help you take care of this. We got this. And they see him dragging out the body and everything.
Right.
Like it's interesting to watch.
Yeah, we buried him on the hill overlooking the ocean. No. Also, I remember the first time I was watching that, and then like I think the next episode, or I think that it might have been the next episode, the one after Olivia dies, and I was just like, wow, coincidence. Like Tony doesn't have to kill Richie, and then he doesn't have to go to jail because Olivia's dead and is not going to testify against him. It was like back-to-back crazy coincidences. and surprises like that, I was just like, what the heck are we doing? But I did not know at the time that Livia, the actual actress, died. Mm-hmm. So it made sense.
And then two more I had, Ralphie dying, right? Like over like after everything that Ralphie did, it was because of Pyomai, the horse, that he ends up dying. The cleanup is hilarious with Christopher, who's high as a kite. Like when he gets to the house and he can't believe what he sees. Nez, what are you gonna say?
That's I have that under I'm sorry that I know we're doing it category by category, but just so we know that I have that under one of my best Tony moments, because Tony is such an animal lover, and that it's like I I told my friend who's like a huge animal lover, I was like, you can relate to Tony Soprano. And it's just like, so it's like this like sweet like girl. And everybody who was around me was like, what the hell are you talking about? And it was just because of the animal thing.
Yeah.
That's what naturally you think of when you hear Tony Soprano. But
with the ducks and Pyomai, I mean,
oh my god!
And when he flips out about the at the intervention about the dog, I ought to strangle you.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe the greatest scene.
I know what it's like to lose a pet.
Yeah,
his head was in the toilet, all soaked. It was disgusting.
I almost took the Christopher like battling with drugs as a storyline just so I could have like the intervention, like a part of that pick.
Big time.
You're a disgrace to your family and everybody around you.
A couple quick deaths, by the way. One, Bobby.
That
was a tough one with the train set.
Oh, that was
with the train set.
Right when you started, like he was getting respect, starting to earn. Like that was sad to see. And then my favorite.
Building off that.
Oh, go ahead.
But I wanted to build off Bobby, but I'll just say it really quick. Bobby's first kill, I almost said, when he kills the Canadian. Because I was just like, let's go, Bobby. Let's go.
Yeah.
But continue.
He's in it, baby. And then my favorite Tony moment, but like it's a death, so I couldn't pick it. Season 1, going to Maine with Meadow, and he kills the rat.
Oh, that's
my favorite,
a great one.
Yeah.
By far, my favorite Tony Soprano scene or just episode is him just like on the hunt for this guy. Like
that's such a good episode.
Brutal
right.
death.
Unbelievable. Too. Like, unbelievable episode. Love Tony. And then like right when he's like behind him, straight was like, "You got that, you little rat," and he's like killing him. I love it.
So good. Moving on. Worst characters. The only one I really had was Meadow. I had that one as another one alongside AJ. I really don't find her appealing. Her boyfriends all suck, and I have no care for Meadow, honestly.
Jackie Jr. Speaking of her boyfriends, Jackie Jr. is one of the worst characters in the show.
Jackie disrespect.
I would do it myself. And they're like, "Why don't you go get his coffees? Get out of here."
I hate.
How would you get your hearing checked?
I also, speaking of like guys that Tony ends up having disdain for eventually, like young guys, Brendan, who's Moltisanti's first partner in crime. I hate him too. He hits on this the girl that's Olivia's
Hunter.
Hunter.
Meadow.
You guys know who she is?
Hunter. She looks so familiar.
She's David Chase's daughter.
Wow. No way.
Yeah. So like that was her, and I found her kind of unbearable in the show too.
Maybe she doesn't look that familiar.
Yeah, she wasn't great.
Yeah, that's what I got for
one more.
That's what I got for that. Yeah.
You know who sucked in the show, doesn't get enough hate, and no one hates because of like his profession? His father, Phil. That guy sucks.
Oh wow.
That guy sucks.
Creepy.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo.
Creepy. I guess when we go from worst characters, let's go to best characters. Naz, who are your best characters that we left off? Just list them here.
I only had 3, which was Silvio Danto and Polly Walnuts, who got picked, and then I like Tony Blundetto.
What? The chiropractor?
Yeah, the massage. He was a massage therapist.
Yeah, massage therapist.
All right, sorry. He was not a chiropractor, but he was a genius, though.
Hey, you're fat.
But he's the whole reason Phil Tardo goes off the deep end.
I know. And I just like the character. I don't know. I thought he was pretty charismatic. I thought he was really interesting, and he added a lot to the show, clearly.
Yeah, huge moment. Mm-hmm. I can't believe Christopher Moltisanti didn't get drafted. I know Ricky Flex isn't the biggest fan. I love Christopher. I think he's great. And a fun fact, Michael Imperioli, who plays Moltisanti, he wrote a lot of the episodes in the second half of the series.
Cleaver. Yeah. Bakia, or whatever you say.
I also had Bobby Bacala is one of my favorite characters. Next to that, Furio, Ricky Fletch.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Furio at the Carmelo Furio thing storyline. Hated that. That's why he couldn't have been picked.
But
yeah, exactly.
But this just
that
like
ruins his character. But prior to that, he's such a G.
When he went
Carmelo needed it.
Yeah. But I think, Nez, what you just said before that, like what you see him the first time in the States when like Christopher couldn't get the money from that guy at the salon or whatever, and he's like
busts in there.
Yeah, he busts in there, just starts broke the guy's leg. You see the bone hitting the woman. I don't condone that.
Gosh.
But it was insane. He was just like that's Italian mafia right there, like actual Italian. Yeah. Just like, I'm getting this money and then some, and I'm gonna beat you up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brutal.
One more with me, just a little joke, a couple joke ones. Hesh. I mean, I don't know why I said Hesh.
I had Hesh on my list.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Well, obviously pussy. But he's a rat, so you couldn't pick him. But then also Agent Harris. Low key.
You like Agent Harris?
Low key was good.
I actually liked him towards the end.
Yeah. I was kind of indifferent about it.
Like when Phil Leotardo,
he's very respectful.
Like when Phil Leotardo died,
Definitely.
he was like so pumped. He was like, "Let's go!"
Yeah, he was like, "We got him."
Yeah, we got him. We got him.
Yes. So that was a good moment. Now I'm thinking about it. I have turned the tide. I am an Agent Harris.
He always tried to help Tony too. Like obviously he was trying to get him in the beginning, but he still like said like, I just want to pay the common courtesy that we're gonna have to probably bring you in.
They want to take down Johnny Sack too.
Right.
Want to take down Johnny Sack. Carmelo also is an all-time great character. Phil Leotardo, we've talked about. Finally, a character just sucked, and in my opinion, and some people might like it in this aspect of the show, but Dr. Melfi, I didn't like her at all in this. I like her in Goodfellas, obviously, and she was actually offered the role of Carmela in this show, but she turned it down due to her relationship to Goodfellas. So that's kind of a fascinating fact there.
That's cool.
Tony moments. Do you guys have any on the honorable mentions here?
Grabbing the pillow. I think that was the one I should have picked. That was a mistake by me.
Grabbing the pillow.
Like when he goes to approach Livia after like finding out.
He throws the pillow at the nurse.
Yeah, like
which part? Is that what you're talking about?
When he like Livia, like he finds out Livia like wanted to have him whacked, and he goes to approach her himself, and she's having the quote unquote stroke. And he grabs the pillow and was going to suffocate her. And he's like, goes right in her face. You mentioned it before when you're talking
he's
about
like, you try to have me whacked. You try to have me whacked.
Yeah,
and screaming in her face.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, please, sir, back off. I'm like, Jesus Christ. You know what's happening right now?
Non-Tony like related death scenes, because those were ineligible. That was probably like the one I should have picked.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Big one I had. The storm at Vesuvio's at the end of season 1. Where Tony takes the family, he has them gathered together, he makes the toast, he walks in, like it was kind of, sorry, I got gum in my mouth. It was more of like a full circle thing where it's like the ducks, where I was always, this is why like watching Sopranos on a rewatch is so helpful. And it's like, it makes you see things differently. Like, what did the ducks mean? The ducks, they're together. There's a certain amount of them. It almost feels like this is the ducks. You got to keep them together. The family, you got to keep them together. He walked into like the restaurant, I should say. Adriana is sitting at the bar with Christopher. Paulie Walnuts and Silvio are talking together. You got Artie Bucco making amends after he finds out that Tony tried to burn down his restaurant. And then he makes a toast to his family like, hey, these are the little things you remember. And that is why it connects to the final scene of this show that cuts to black. And that's the things you remember when you watch it a second time. Does it justify the ending of the series? No, but it kind of like helps explain it more.
Mm-hmm. For sure. No, that's good. The only other Tony moment I had was him beating up Jackie Jr. at the strip club.
Yes, satisfying.
That was after you saw her cheat like with Meadow with Meadow. Yeah. That's a good one. Oh, and also the carjack scene. That's a good one.
I wrote that down. Carjack
season 1. Yeah, that's a good one.
Those Junior and Olivia playing the hit. Terrible. And then I had one that I don't know if it's like a favorite, but it's a great scene in terms of like, I like Bobby Bacala here is when they go to the lake house and then Tony versus Bobby in a fight. It's like an unexpected
Big
fight,
guys.
and Bobby holds his own. Burly boy. It sounds like a sumo wrestling match.
It's so. I think we get introduced to Bobby. Like I forget like where it is, but like when you get introduced to Bobby,
I think it's 3.
and
When he gets out of prison.
Tony Soprano, like Tony just goes to him like stop eating sandwiches or get a salad or something. And then Bobby, like after he leaves, goes like, who you talking to? Like who you to talk?
Yeah.
Who you to talk?
You just knew that you were gonna love that character. He's such a lovable guy.
Yeah. Big time.
To the victor goes what is it? The spoils of war shall go to the victor. He's like, why don't you take the quote book and shove it up your
Like that's also a Junior So Good with Bobby Bacala, where they're going back and forth too, with the one-liners just ripping on it. Bobby just takes it. Also storylines is like we can do 100 of these. I think we should kind of limit it to 1 each here. But I had Paulie Walnuts versus Christopher. I think that's like the old gangster versus the new gangster. Talk about Pine Barrens is noted as like maybe the best episode or most beloved episode by Sopranos fans. That's kind of where like you start to realize there's a tension between these two, and it carries on throughout the seasons. But it really starts during that Pine Barrens episode. So I wanted to shout out that episode and that relationship.
That's a good one.
Anything else?
Mine, I was like I said, I was doing more character arcs, but mine is Dr. Melfi going from trying to help Tony Soprano to being afraid of him, to trying to help him again, and by the end of the last season, she just totally will not work with him. She refuses to.
Yeah, but then also she tries to like have him help her, right, in that sexual assault like situation, which is like fascinating because like you like Tony at one point strangles her like in season 1. Like it's just crazy how their relationship kind of develops. But Dr. Melfi, I'm a little like turned off by her, not like her looks or anything. I just like every time she's in a scene, like I just like she looks fine.
Karen.
But she just like every time that scene comes on compared to like maybe like a scene of Satrialis, I'll take the scene of Satrialis just the same, you know?
Yeah.
Way more, I should say. All right. That's gonna do it.
Oh, I have one.
Ricky, sorry. Long draft.
I said one before.
Long draft today.
We said one before. I'll just say a quick funny one. Uncle Junior and the Muff. That's it.
Yes.
That's a good one.
I thought about doing that one, but it only lasted 1 episode, I think. So yeah. So 1 episode like storyline there. That's gonna do it for our draft of The Sopranos. Let's get hyped for the Many Saints of Newark review coming next week, along with I believe we're doing a double review. Is that right, boys?
Venom post-credit scene.
Venom 2, Many Saints of Newark. We have fire movies coming week after week, fire reviews. We're about to bring them to you. That's going to do it for this episode of The Drive-In. Make sure you follow us at The Drive-In Pod on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Let us know you're listening. Post on your story. We'll shout you out on the pod. That's it for episode 56. Until next time, we will smell ya.